Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Figure Forecast podcast. It is your host, Maeve, and my lovely co host, Scarlett. Today, we have a super exciting episode. We will be doing the Olympia review. So, we are very, very excited to go through this year's show, some absolutely incredible physiques. And to help us do that, we have invited the gorgeous Amy Fox, who is a women's physique pro, judge and show promoter here in Perth, also a coach at Dohertys, posing coach, and does all of the things. So she's going to give us some really great insights and opinions into the placings, the athletes, the physiques, and yeah, we're just going to have a great chat. Amy, do you want to give yourself a little intro? Tell us who you
Well,
are.
yeah, you pretty much said everything. So I won my pro card in the physique division in 2014. Haven't competed since, but since doing that, obviously the pro card opened up a lot of doors for me in Australia in terms of job opportunities and opportunities with the posing as well. So I've done heaps of that all over the country. I've also been invited to judge overseas. One of my favourite shows that I did overseas was a show in Goa in India for one of my friends, and that was a crazy experience. And honestly, like none of the show promoting staff or none of the judging opportunities would have come about, I think, if I hadn't have earned my pro card in the first place. So I think it's one of those things that you can, you a lot of people will say you do nothing with it, but I feel like I've really used mine to my potential. However, I haven't competed as a pro.
It does open doors though, for sure. Like it's the kind of like prestige
100%.
of the title and the connections and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so
And it's
yeah.
not from lack of wanting. Like I've definitely wanted to compete, but the time hasn't been right. Whole host of injuries, having babies, like all of the things. So I just love the sport and I want to be involved in it in any which way possible. So if I can't compete, like this is the next best thing for me.
And involved you are. You are
Yeah,
very involved with
yeah,
the
yeah.
WA community, which I love, and it's really, really trying to grow it and make it the best it can be, which is great to be a part of. Okay, so let's dive straight in to our show review. This is Figure Olympia 2023. And first off, we're just gonna go through the results in case anybody doesn't know, in case you've been living under a rock. Our top 10 figure competitors in the Olympia this year were none other than Sid Gillen, of course. She is slaying. She is 7 times Olympia winner now, which is absolutely nuts. We have Jessica Reyes Padilla, also a competitor I followed for a long time. I really, really like her physique. Lola Montez, unbelievable. Cheris Richardson, it was her first ever Olympia. She placed fourth. We were lucky to have her on the podcast in season one. She's so, so lovely and so deserving. She's just a really, really, really nice and humble human. Then we have Natalia. I'm unsure what's going on with Natalia recently. I just don't think she's. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We'll talk about that in a few. Erica Morgan, also like her, she's been having a really good year. Rhea, absolute queen. Worked with her for posing. She went up 5 places this year, which was insane. She was 12th
Her
last year.
legs absolutely blew up as
Oh,
well.
they blew up. Absolutely unreal. Loved her bikini as well. Jennifer, she was 8th, and we also had her on the podcast, and she's another really, really, really lovely human and so down to earth and so hardworking. We then had Adela in 9th, and then we had Maria Diaz 10th. So let's take a little look at the comparisons. So first off, we are going to go with the top 6. So we have Sid, we have Jessica, we have Lolo, Lola, and we have Cherish, Natalia, and Erica Morgan. First off, who was everybody's favorite?
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a tough one.
It is, I
No,
know, but
I really like Jessica.
her legs are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
they are. They
it's
are.
crazy the size on them. But she's been at this for so long. Um,
Yeah.
I just think she's unbelievable. Um, Amy, who was your favorite?
I think Sid, like I couldn't go past Sid in terms of criteria. I
Yeah,
just had her first.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was always going to win anay, wasn't she? Like, no
Yeah,
one's knocking her off.
yeah, yeah.
Not yet.
Just the standard with all of the girls, like
Yeah.
they're all phenomenal. So you can't knock their work ethic and the physiques that they put on stage. Really, like these are the best in the world, and you can easily see why.
yeah, yeah. You really can. She's cracking. What do you think, Amy, that makes Sid such like the perfect figure competitor?
Um, a number of things, obviously. Like I think she just ticks all of the boxes. So if you start off with her symmetry, I think that her symmetry is pretty bang on. I remember when she first started placing highly in a lot of her shows, I always noticed that one of her shoulders was sitting a little bit funny, and she seems to have ironed that out completely. So you can't see any difference in the size and the way that the delts sit within the socket. You can
Yeah,
see the level of flexibility that she's really portraying, which I think is part of the reason that gives her body such a freaky look, is because from looking at those photos, she to me appears to be one of the more flexible figure competitors that I've noticed. The
yeah,
way that she's able to anteriorly tilt her pelvis, giving that hamstring tie-in, that kind of really tight look without it looking separated and grainy like some of the physique girls would have. The other thing, like you can see the way her scapulas are sitting. So she's got a lot of stretch through her mid back, whereas a lot of the girls are quite, in my opinion, quite muscular through the rhomboids area, and it thickens up their physique and limits the amount of expansion or that wingspan illusion that they tend to get. So I think the other girls have the same muscularity as her, but they don't display it as well as her. Just the way that she holds her back pose and her front pose in particular, you can see the flexibility that she's got in her spine. She's really able to tilt the pelvis and elevate the chest at the same time, which in terms of posing, like that's probably one of the more important elements, I think, especially when it comes to figure, because if you don't have that spinal flexibility and the flexibility within your shoulders and your hips, it's really going to affect your presentation, and how wacky and freaky you can start to look. So if you look at like, and I'm just nitpicking here, obviously, like they're far out, they're better than I've ever been. So you can't deny just how good they are. But if you're being picky, which is what the Olympia is, you look at the difference in these particular photos that you've got up here, and you look at Sid's front pose as opposed to Jessica's front pose, and you can see that Jessica, her shoulders are mad, like so good. But because her shoulders are so developed, it's more obvious that one shoulder is sitting a lot differently than the other.
it
So the
actually is.
symmetry mark
Yeah, this
is,
one's way higher than
yes,
this
yep,
one. Yeah,
yep. So the symmetry mark is going to be affected. Her muscularity round, like, I mean, her muscularity, perfect. But the
yeah,
symmetry, maybe she fell down there, whereas Sid didn't. Like, and a lot of the judges will have like a sequence of things that they'll check through. So symmetry is not worth more than your balance, and it's not worth more than the muscularity. They're all worth the same, but each judge will have a bias to what sort of stands out first. Some judges will see conditioning first, and they'll hone in on that first and check all of that off. Other judges will see balance first, and that's what they look at. So for me, I think my bias as a judge for when I was judging, obviously I'm not allowed to anymore because I'm promoting the WA show, but my bias was definitely symmetry and silhouette. So
yeah,
as soon as the girls are in this front pose here, I can see imbalances in shoulders and the way they're posing. So that sort of stands out for me, and that would be, oh, okay, so far Sid's getting that point. And then I'd move on to the next thing. So my next favorite thing is muscularity, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, I actually really like Jessica's muscularity. Like for me, wow. But is the condition too much for figure perhaps? Is she starting to look more so the condition of, say, a physique competitor? Possibly.
Yeah.
So again, my eye would go back to Sid, and that's how I'd see it. And then if you look at the conditioning of Jessica from the front, as opposed to her back pose, can you see the difference in the front and back conditioning?
Especially in the legs, like the quads are very striated, and then the hamstrings not so much. Yeah,
that's right. And that kind of thing will be highlighted when the girls turn around and also do their side poses. So you're looking for a competitor that has the same level of conditioning from their upper body to their lower from the front, and their upper and lower from the back. So that's where I think Sid is a very amazing competitor, because she's very balanced in the way that she holds her body fat. You wouldn't say that she's the most shredded, but her shreds, so to speak, are very balanced between the front, the back, and the top to the bottom.
Yeah, she's very symmetrical, very balanced, and I see what you mean with the tilt. Like she has quite a lot of an arch in that lower back, like to really get those posterior pelvic tilts.
Yeah, the way that she's able. You look at even the girl in the green in the back pose, sitting in the middle, and then Jess on the right. You look at the girl in the green and Sid, how much pelvic anterior tilt those two can get. Like that's good. That's a really impressive amount of tilt that those two girls are getting. Then you look at Jess, and her glutes don't appear as full. And my opinion is because she doesn't have that same level of flexibility through the hips.
Yeah, that she's not able to kind of emphasize them more. And even with the conditioning, Jess on her back shot versus Cherish, who's in green there in fourth, like Cherish got shredded in, like, look at the hamstring versus Jess's. It's crazy. I think Cherish, like for her first Olympia coming forward, like I think she's gonna have that spot one day. Like I think she's absolutely incredible.
She's awesome. Yeah,
she's
from
really,
like if you were just looking at these two pictures, like the only thing I would say is perhaps they felt that Cherish was too muscular, because she's quite thick through her erectors, like the muscles in her back. She's quite thick. She has that real density, whereas Sid's are a little bit more flattened. So perhaps she was borderline too big for what they were looking for, perhaps.
maybe because her back is massive. Like it's probably the biggest in that lineup.
It's the thickest. Like she's got so much width.
So much.
From the front, though, they do look very similar, don't they?
Very, very. Sid's waist is smaller. Jesus, it couldn't get any smaller.
And the other thing with figure as well, I think the importance of figure is to not have that lower lat density so much. It's more about that real V-tapered, wide, broad shoulders. Most of the mass is sort of in the upper back, in the upper lats and the shoulders, rather than the lower lats. Because if you start to grow the mass in the lower lats, it starts to take you more into the physique and bodybuilding categories where you've got that lower lat thickness. So perhaps that was a reason that knocked her down. But I mean, looking at it, like I love her back, like it's sick. It's awesome.
I want that back. What do you think with Lola, that who came third? Like, what do you think was the difference maybe between third and fourth? Do you think just that level of like density and thickness and stuff that Cherish has maybe?
Lola is the
Lola is here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was Lola. Yeah. Lola's really good. Again, her flexibility, I feel, has let her down. She's very dominant in the lower back.
Yeah.
So, just where you've got your bra strap, the muscles of her erectors are really, really thick. And I think that's taking away from the the illusion that her shoulders are bigger. It's making her appear more narrow in the upper thoracic, but she's not. Like, if you just look at the silhouette, she's very wide, but when you've got really heavily muscled mid to lower back region, it can give the illusion that your waist is thicker than it is. So I think from the back pose, that's what was dominating for me. And also her triceps, I feel that she's got really muscular triceps in the upper body. And I feel with figure, the dominating part of the arm needs to be the delt, not the biceps and triceps. And I think she's borderline too muscular in the arms and the mid to lower back, which is giving it's throwing off that figure symmetry. And then if you kind of go down her body, like her calves are crazy, which again,
crazy. They just pop out of nowhere. They're definitely the biggest in compared to anyone else.
Yep, and we figure like they need calves, but that's a bodybuilding calf.
Yeah, it's not symmetrical in the slightest.
Yeah, so she's just got areas of absolute strength, which is, for me, putting her half in the figure category, half into the possibly, if you wanted to get bigger, you could do physique.
Yeah, and even with her pose, and like when you were saying the two girls had more of a tilt, she is quite straight up and down. Like, she's not really, leaning or arching or anything like that. So I think maybe that kind of, it just didn't show her shape as well.
A lot of the girls can't, because they're too tight from the amount of muscle they're carrying, and some people can genetically maintain their flexibility quite well with minimal effort, and others need to really work on it and spend extra money and extra time on mobilizing and massage and chiro and ART treatments and scraping and all of these things just to maintain it, because they're lifting such heavy loads all the time.
Yeah. What do you think then, if, let's say, obviously we have no idea what people's feedback or anything was, but if it was a case of Cherish obviously wanting to get into the top 3 next year, what would you say she would have to do then? Because obviously there are probably only certain areas that she can really grow. Like, would you say she needs to kind of, lay off the pull and the back stuff, or what do you think she needs to do
I
to
don't know.
get
It's so hard, because I think that her body, like, put it this way, if Sid wasn't there, I would have had her winning.
Yeah,
Because
same.
I think she's really balanced from front to back. But you don't, like, it's hard to say. Obviously, we're reviewing it as a picture. It's a totally different story.
I think definitely like presentation, like stage on stage. Because if you think about it, like even Lola, like she's very like she's got that character when she's on stage. And I think maybe it was Cherish's, with it being her first time, she might have been a bit more nervous, maybe. Like, do you know, when you see like the whole picture?
Yes.
Rather than it being like physique shots. I don't know.
What do we think of Natalia? And she was 5th, so let's just go back into the comparison. She was 5th. She was 5th last year as well, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no movement. But what do you think is going on there for her, that she maybe hasn't moved up, or it just isn't kind of hitting the mark?
Genetics. I think a lot of it, like, she's definitely just doesn't have that same taper as Sid. I think that she is perfect, and she is, like, genetically going to struggle against girls that are genetically better. Her clavicle isn't as wide as Sid. Her waist isn't genetically as narrow. But I can't see her coming in any leaner. Like, she was shredded.
Yeah, she gets pretty lean.
Yeah, and she has to, because she doesn't have the genetics of Sid. And this is the trouble with figure, like, or the good thing with figure, I should say, is that you have to bring your physique in to be competitive for the guidelines of figure. So if she came in any softer, her waist wouldn't look like that. Like, she had to bring herself in leaner, so her waist is you know, as tight and as narrow as possible. So I think she did the right thing. I just think simply she's getting beaten by someone who is genetically a freak. Because she's
Yeah.
she's awesome.
Just
Yeah.
like that is so lean.
Yeah,
So
she's
her
in great
legs.
shape. Great shape. I like, again, this is just something that I noticed with the posing. If you're looking at her versus Sid in the back pose, for example, you can see when a competitor is posing with their scapulas and their shoulders first to get that flat look, as opposed to posing with your arms first. So I feel that she's posing more so with her arms because she possibly doesn't have that same sort of flexibility. You can see her really bending her elbows up, whereas Sid is more, you know, flaring from the scap and the shoulders first. So when an athlete is posing more aggressively with their arms and not allowing their scapula and their shoulder to dictate the movement, it can make the biceps and triceps look more flexed, so therefore bigger, and therefore the balance between the biceps, triceps, and shoulders is very even, whereas figure, the biceps and triceps need to be a smaller in appearance than the delt itself. And you just have a look at the two girls' arms and you'll see what I mean. Like, she's almost too symmetrical in the arms. So it throws off that figure illusion again.
Yeah, like, do you think maybe she should downsize her arms or make her delts bigger?
I reckon she should try mobilizing the scapula and the shoulders a little bit more first, so she's not posing so hard with the elbows themselves. Yeah, that's what I think to start with. Like, try that with posing, but yeah, she might need to kind of think about maybe atrophying the triceps in the back pose, the biceps in the front pose, so you get that more freaky delt look.
She's fab. She's yeah.
But how good is she? Like, honestly,
Her core and her midsection are fab.
yeah.
Like,
And you can't see it. Like, when these girls are by themselves, they all look perfect. So it's
right?
like,
Exactly.
just,
Yeah.
you know, you're
Yeah.
picking the tiniest thing to criticize, basically.
Oh, who are we to who are we to judge, right? Here we have, like, yeah, her conditioning is just insane. Now the lovely Erica we have, and I really like her. She
Yeah.
yeah, she what do you think of her physique, Amy? Like, what would you say? I think, like, her legs and her conditioning and stuff is great, but maybe is it an upper body thing or a waist thing?
She's definitely, like, her proportions, like her leg length as opposed to her torso length is a lot different to the other girls. So it'll, again, throw that figure look off. Generally with figure, the girls that are doing really well tend to have like a shorter torso and really long legs for a
Really
start. So, and her torso and her legs are kind of more balanced.
That's
I
true.
Yeah,
That's all I can see now.
look at the
Yeah.
top three and just look how long their legs are. Like, their legs are so long. Whereas she's kind of more compact. Her leg length is almost matching her torso length. So that's going to throw it off for figure. However, she'd be really awesome in physique if she wanted to get better. If she wanted to get bigger, sorry, not better. Just the way she's dominating, like, her glutes are almost overpowering the back pose as well. Like, she's got massive projection in that glute. And I think, like, that tends to happen when the girls have shorter legs as well. Like, the muscles tend to look a lot bigger. They're not as elongated. So it just gives you this density that the taller girls struggle to get. But I think that hurts her in this division.
That's interesting. So you think maybe if she got bigger and obviously the conditioning came in more, that she could actually structurally suit WPD more?
Yeah, I think so. She looks like she's got the type of frame that would build muscle really well and look really feminine. The other thing, and this is just nitpicking again, is I don't think her costume was high enough. Like her if you look at her front pose, short
Yeah,
pose,
yeah.
it needs to be a lot higher.
Especially with the shorter legs. Like if she had brought that up an inch, it would have given her more of a waist and kind of lengthened the limbs a little bit.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
mad though, because like they are, all of them top six are like really short, but they actually look
No,
tall, and she looks way shorter.
yes.
So, because I'm sure they only like 5 foot odd, all
Oh,
of them.
definitely. There's no one over 5'5" there.
No,
Nah,
they're like, yeah, so they're not tall girls as is. It's just the proportions, like the leg to torso length is a particular,
Yeah,
you've got a particular length that'll enhance that figure look.
yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
But her glutes are definitely dominating that rear pose. And so for me, because the glutes are so muscular and projecting so well, it's making her back look more narrow than I think it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, because she has so much kind of width in the legs and the glutes. Yeah, that's actually so true.
The costume
Um,
up higher would help. I think
definitely.
help
Definitely.
a lot. She's
Yeah.
also like genetically as well. She's not as broad across the clavicles as the top three. Just a bit
Mm,
more narrow. Doesn't have the same thoracic extension as the other girls, so that's going to make her look sort of shorter as well.
yeah. Yeah. Um, let's do second call outs. Some incredible girls here. We have Jen, we have Rhea, we have Teresa, we have
Nice,
uh
Teresa.
she is here at the side.
Yeah, yeah, she was
Um
nice. That's right.
interesting bikini. Like very
Yeah,
kind of out there.
yeah.
Like bright green, bright pink, but I think she pulled it off with the dark hair actually.
I think so. I think so. It was funny because I don't think the Olympia stage lighting did much for the costumes in the photos. They all looked
No,
quite
not
flat.
at
And the thing
all.
is, in real life, they're stunning. The costumes are amazing, but hers actually pops under those lights.
Let's see if we can get a little oh no, that's Jennifer's. Let's go into Teresa's page and get a little photo. Yeah, like look at the suit in proper light. Crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah. Um so where is here? So seventh was Rhea. I absolutely love Rhea. I think she has a stunning physique. I'm just gonna go into her Instagram and get her up properly. Like the progress from last year to this year
that's just
was
mad.
like silly. Like her legs just absolutely blew up on the delts and stuff, which is class. Her waist tiny, and as you said, her torso is so short,
Yeah,
and the bottoms came up really high. So
that's
yeah,
perfect. And see how,
yeah,
like, I almost think that the costumes now are they're like kind of hooking up and out on the hips, and I think
yeah,
that hook really helps with the side. Like you can see the glutes coming out from the side of the
yeah,
costume when they're in their front pose, and I like that.
yeah. Amazing.
She's
And
she's not
She's
as
just so
flexible as
lovely as well, though, isn't she?
amazing.
Like, oh,
she is. She's a really nice girl. I'm hoping
she's stacked
she's in the
though.
top six next year. Like I just think the improvements. If you can look that much better in a year,
I
you're
know.
really fucking good at this. She's
But I think that
unreal.
was one of her things as well, the feedback, wasn't it, to bring up the legs
Yeah,
from last
I think
time.
so.
Yeah,
I think so.
And she
And
definitely did that.
she did.
yeah,
She
because
did slide on the detail. Amy,
wow.
what would you say would maybe, because obviously she come up 5 places since last year, which is nuts. What would you say to get into the mix of the top six? Would you say like it's a conditioning thing, a size thing?
Um, oh,
Here,
show me her back again.
I will show you her back. She has a lovely back. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Is this? Oh yeah, here we go. So maybe not as much detail in the back. She's a
Yeah,
nice width in it though.
well, the detail I don't think is too bad. I think that the level of muscularity in the hamstrings and the glutes probably lets her down in this pose because her back is so good. Like,
Yeah,
'cause
Yeah.
she's got so much mass, so I think the balance would have thrown her off. Because when you see her from the front, like obviously her thighs and everything have come up quite well, so she's got a lot more lovely silhouette and balance from the front where her lats are, and then she's got that quad sweep. But then when she turns around from the back, it's almost like she doesn't have that muscularity in the glutes to balance out the size of her back.
yeah, yeah,
And then the
yeah.
girl in the red on the, like if we're just looking at the girl with the
Jennifer,
red costume, yeah. So if you look at her from the back, she's the opposite.
she's
So
better
her
from the back.
lower is dominating the upper almost.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah, they're two so different, like in comparison. Like the upper and the top line is definitely kind of taken over
Yeah,
here, whereas her, yeah, she has actually decent a decent rear there. Really great glutes, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like
beautiful
great
glutes.
glutes.
And a lot of these girls, and this is probably why they're in the second call out, like most of them are dominating in their lower glute development, not so much in the upper glute. Whereas, again, if you go back to Sid, she's got a nice balance between the lower glute and the upper glute. She's got the same amount of size, top to
Yeah,
bottom, of that
Mm.
glute. The other girls, you'll see like a really heavy, it's almost like an upside down love heart where they get a hang of the glute, like because they're not getting that upper glute development. And
yeah,
again, I just put it down to flexibility, like the way that they're training, they might not be able to get into the same positions as Sid because they're literally not as flexible as her. Like balance comes from being able to do movements full range, and perhaps they're not able to. I don't know, genetically or physically, not able to get into these positions and
yeah,
activate the right muscles. So therefore, you get that slight imbalance.
yeah. Here's our top four.
But for me, with figure, like I'm looking for, it's almost like a peach glute. And I guess the same in bikini and the same in wellness as well. Like that glute is looking like a peach, even hanging at the bottom, and the same sort of projection at the top, not this upside down love heart that a lot of the girls are putting on stage because they're having trouble developing their upper glute area.
I feel that in my soul.
It's hard. It's so hard. And yeah, to be honest, the more people I train, the more I realize that it's generally a flexibility issue. It's not that they can't do it. It's just that their body's limited because they can't get into these weird positions.
Yeah, yeah, fair. Was there anyone you were surprised by their placings or was kind of
Not
expecting
really.
maybe?
Not really. I I was impressed by all of them. Like there was no one that I was sort of like, oh my gosh, like she placed there. Like I don't get it. Like I can kind of see why everyone placed where they did. But it's just going to be so hard to beat Sid. Like she has the genetics for that division. She doesn't have to get diced because she's got the balance. And that's what they want for figure. So I would say to anyone that's doing figure, if you're missing body parts or perhaps you're missing the size, come in as lean as you can to create the illusion of shape, because that will help. Like you're better off doing that than trying to chase the size and then, missing the mark with condition. Just come in lean. Like it'll give you a better shot.
Yeah,
And for yourself, you'll be able to see where you're letting yourself down. Like, okay, I can really see because I'm so shredded. I can see that I've got no upper glutes, and I can see that my triceps are too big and my shoulders is not looking big enough, or whatever it is. You can see more when you get lean.
yeah, for sure. So, like in particular, I imagine for amateur competitors, would you say if you maybe don't have the kind of size and density and that kind of stuff, chase the condition, like just come as lean as possible?
Pretty much with everyone, just in
Yeah,
general, you should be coming in nice and lean, because no one as an amateur should be looking like Sid Gillen, because she's won 7 years in a row looking like that, plus
yeah,
the years of training that brought her to win her pro card in the first place. So there is no way that you can put that muscularity on stage unless you've been prepping for a figure contest for literally like 10 years and never got on stage, then maybe. But yeah, like as far as all of us goes, like we start as an amateur, we get better each season. So come in as shredded as you can.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
We might do a quick little recap of, because obviously anyone listening to this is generally a figure competitor and generally amateurs. When you are judging shows, so maybe just for people competing in figure next season, what is kind of the sum up, like small breakdown of the must kind of have for the criteria, and where do you see people going wrong most in the shows that you have judged or that you're involved with?
This is the thing. I don't really feel like anyone's really going wrong. I just feel like they need to be open to review of their physique post-show. So they need to be open to the criticism. And I know what it's like to be criticized with your physique when you think you looked really, really good. Like, it sucks. It hurts the ego. So you've got to make up your mind whether or not you want to hear it and take it on board, or hear it and disregard it and then do what you want. So it's a sport where the judges are judging you. You can like your look, but if you're not winning, you need to open your ears and just listen. And then it's your choice whether or not you're like, you know what, I actually like the way I look. I like competing for the fun of it. I'm going to put on stage what I want to. Fine. Like, that's all good. But if you want to be winning, you need to be open to criticism. You need to listen. And you're going to get butthurt, and it's going to sting when you're told that something doesn't look quite right. But, most of the time you'll get over it. Like, every single show I've ever done, like someone said, and judges or people watching, oh, you look really good, but your legs are too soft, or you look really good, your waist could be like, it's hard to hear those things. It is. But just get better at listening without the emotion.
Yeah, and I think that just goes for anybody getting into bodybuilding, full stop. Like, if you're going to let yourself just be emotionally charged all the time, it's probably not the sport to get into.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And, you invest so much money and time, and you dedicate so much effort into it. When you've given it your absolute all and it's still not good enough, that sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, well, let's all hope we we end up on the Olympia one day and we get really great feedback.
Well, look at us. Like, you can be the second best in the world and we're still tearing strips off you.
Yeah,
so
right. It's always so funny doing these reviews.
like,
We're
if
like,
you're not sick, then you're shit. Like, that's pretty much what we're saying. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. But this is the sport, and it's amazing to see, like, on stage, the girls that are coming second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then you see that comparison of the girl that's grown in 12 months, and you're like, holy shit, that's amazing. Like, that's the kind of thing that you really need to focus on. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Just have thick skin, or get better at getting over the hurt so that you can improve, because people don't tell you something in order to put you down. Generally, they tell it to you so that you can be better. It's generally coming from a good place, unless the person is just being an asshole. Like, I get it, but generally it's coming from a good place because they want to see you improve and do better.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fact, like, that the judges are willing to kind of take the time out to, tell you maybe not where you went wrong, but where you need to improve, and like bring up, like, that's appreciated so much. And I think people, just need to get better at, it's not criticizing you to be mean. It's giving you, criticism to make you better. So, at the end of the day, if you don't listen, you're just not going to get better. We ask absolutely everybody that comes onto the podcast this question, and I'm excited to hear your answer, because there could be different cravings and stuff. So what would your death row meal be? Or what's your favorite post-show meal? Either.
I don't know. I really love ribs. Like, I did my last show on, I did a keto diet that worked for me. And I know that keto is not for everyone, but I responded really, really well to keto. So I'd have probably ribs, not much carbs, just like fats and meats. Although I do like Doritos. Doritos are really good.
Oh, chips and dip. Chips and dip are the ultimate snack.
Yeah.
Yum. Yum. Amy, I know obviously you coach in person, you do posing, you do online, you do all of that kind of stuff. So do you want to tell people where they can find you, how to inquire, all of that jazz?
Yeah, like basically I actually really enjoy working with other coaches, and that goes for posing coaches too. Like I have a lot of coaches bring their clients into me and then we work together. So I'm always happy to share. Like that doesn't bother me at all. I know some people don't like it, but I do. Like I encourage my girls to go and try other coaches, come back to me, leave, like whatever they need to do, because I would like to see them do better. I do online coaching through APS, the Australian Posing School, and I also do it privately just by my own at Dohertys Gym in Perth. I've got a posing coaching course where we teach anyone really, like you don't have to be a personal trainer, but if you wanted to get into the posing coach side of things, we're going to run that in Sydney come December, early December. So we've opened that up and taking bookings now to secure your places. And that's so that you can become a successful posing coach.
That's awesome. I've never heard of like a course to be a posing coach before. That's so good.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
as far as I know, like I'm sure there are somewhere and I haven't found it, but it's been such a nice job for me. And when I left school, like I wouldn't have thought that you could earn a living teaching people how to walk in a pair of heels or do a front double bicep. So it's pretty incredible. It's something that I really enjoy. The coaching side of things, I'm going towards more working with other coaches because I find that their systems are a lot more capable of coping with more people. And I'm pregnant at the moment, so I just can't do all of that stuff. So I would rather just focus on the PT for now, focus on the posing face-to-face and online, and work on the shows. But yeah, my Instagram is, oh my gosh, what is my Instagram? My posing coach. At my posing coach. Yeah. So that's where you can find me and send me a message anytime.
Amazing. Amy, thank you so much for coming on. That was definitely our best show review to date. So we massively appreciate you taking the time. And
it's just my opinions too. So like anyone can disagree with me. That's totally fine. Like I said, I'm not judging anymore.
Yeah. No, but it was great to kind of have a judge's insight, and obviously you have the eye, so we massively appreciate you taking the time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We are back next week and we are nearing the end of season 2, so we will see you then with another epic guest. Thank you so much.
Thanks, girls. Bye.